everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And of course, I'm Ron.
And today we are back to talk about PowerBook 2. This was season 2, episode 7, and it was titled Forced My Hand. So if you guys hang tight, we'll be right back to get started. Like I said, we're talking PowerBook 2, and it just keeps heating up every week. We're getting closer and closer to some drama. You know, things are starting to boil over on everybody's fronts. So, getting crazy. Where do we start with this one?
I guess right at the beginning, because Drew got a body on him now. So, some of our spotters, I guess, were right on when they said we might be misplaying Drew a little bit. So it looks like he's in the game for real.
Oh yeah, he's always been the sleeper. Everybody been sleeping on Drew.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always knew that he had it in him. Mm-hmm. He just didn't want the game, is what I said. He didn't want to be in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's always kind of had a I was thinking explosive temper, but it's not that. He's always been willing to step up and do what needed to be done in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, the scene where he's kind of busting up in the room to take Keno out, he definitely had some great aim, for him to just be recovering from an injury. He hit that man spot on.
I mean, headshots are hard. And, when you can put a bullet in somebody's head while he's holding someone else, yeah, you're pretty much...
Mm-hmm.
You know what it reminded me of in Raising Kanan when they kept missing?
They ain't missing in this one. That's the show.
Nah, they ain't missing. Well, Kane did take him to the gun what's range. It called? The shooting range. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gun range. So he had been working on his aim. So it's not like he came out of nowhere. He had been practicing.
Yeah, and I was telling Ron off camera, like this opening scene, it kind of took me back to the first episode of the original Power, where Ghost had the opportunity to kill the girl, but he didn't. And then Lorenzo, this time, Drew was trying to spare her. Lorenzo was like, we ain't leaving no loose ends.
And that sounds like Tommy. Tommy ain't want to leave no loose ends either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess, what do you do? Of course she's going to say she's going to keep her mouth shut. But, you can't really depend on that. Just like you said with the first episode with Ghost, Ghost was willing to, hey, let him walk. I guess in some aspects, that could work. I mean, if someone says keep your mouth shut and that they are as vicious as they can be, I mean, would you actually go to the police and start talking about what you've seen? I know I wouldn't.
They didn't want to take the risk.
No, I got it. I mean, and they're right for doing so, because you can't depend on a person keeping their mindset. People do change, but
I think he has a bigger problem on his hands with Everett.
Oh yeah.
Because he loves Everett, and we can tell that he has deep feelings for him. And when it came out, Kane kind of like approached him and was like, look, he even told Lorenzo, he got the snitching boyfriend, his boo is the one that's the threat here. Mm-hmm. Lorenzo was like, is it under control? And seemed like Drew was like saying, yeah, it is. And you see that scene where he puts on the ski mask and he's following Everett. And so I was like, okay, I didn't think that he would be the one to do it. So the fact that he even attempted, that shows me that Drew is, like you said, Tiffany, he is the one that will get things done by like any means necessary. He's the rider in the family. Yeah. If he would take out his own, boyfriend.
But we see
he didn't do it. But
I'm saying, but he attempted. He even had it in his mind to do it.
I don't think it's over. I think that eventually his hand is going to be forced, and he may do it himself.
I would rather see Drew give it over to Kane. because
Kane told him that too.
And he did.
Said either you do it or somebody else will.
Exactly. And, that scene shows very much that if he were to take out Everett, that's going to play real heavy on Drew.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I were Drew, I would say, look, I tried, I made an attempt, I can't do it, it's on you. I'd rather you do it and I not know about it or know how it's done. I just don't want to be the one pulling that trigger.
He ain't gonna be able to live with it regardless.
Yeah. So my thought about this was like, when he first met him, how much do you tell? If you're going to be because we keep having these conversations about if you're involved in a life, if you bring somebody else outside the game, you got to really trust them and you got to know that they can handle it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it was complicated at first. You don't want to tell them too much because you don't want to ruin Zeke's reputation, but you need to let them know what they're getting into, because maybe had he known that, he wouldn't have spoken to the police. He wouldn't have been as candid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go back, but it's almost like he's in an impossible situation because he's an innocent that kind of wandered into this situation, not really knowing the whole landscape and knowing what to say, what not to say. So he probably will eventually have to take him out. Somebody will, but it's going to be sad just for that. It's just an innocent thing.
It is. And the thing is, he's probably going to end up doing what Ghost should have done with Angela. Because, Ghost thought about it. He did think about it in the beginning, but he could not bring himself to do it. Because, like Drew loves Everett, Ghost loved Angela.
But you know what? If Everett gets killed, I'm putting it on Detective Whitman. Because he is still trying to get Zeke wrapped up for this murder charge. And that's the only reason why he's still even approaching Everett, questioning him, is because he's trying to tie it back to Zeke somehow. Listen, and so you can see how nosy he was all up in the bedroom, peeping his scene all up in there, looking at the shoes, asking probing questions. And I'm like, Whitman, he just has no boundaries.
Yeah, you see, he always pulls up when somebody is in the mix. Whenever somebody is having an intimate moment, Whitman pulls up. He's a hater. And the other thing, he also, the police has been getting a lot of people hemmed up. Like if Everett gets killed, that's on the police. If Lauren gets killed, it's on the police.
Yes.
Well, I think it's more on Carrie because, and I'm glad actually that
it is Carrie.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Boomerang has come
authorities
back.
In general.
But I'm glad
authorities in general, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Boomerang has come back to her. Because now she's falling apart, everybody seems to know her dirt. And now, she's living up to the very thing that she's put out. So
they blew her spot up.
Yeah, they did.
Ooh. And it was so funny to see the kids was chatting about it on Clubhouse. I mean, the whole campus knows. Even the alumni.
Yeah, so I understand what with Dean, when Dean Wan burst into her office and decided that she shouldn't give the speech, and then of course here comes Rashad,
self-serving,
the savior and grace, and he comes up with this, well, what are you going to do? Condemn her before, innocent until proven guilty kind of thing, right? No, he should have sat her ass down anyways.
Yeah,
and I think he would have had a right to say, well, we have this. We've discovered this information about you and we don't know if it's actually true or false. So we will sit you down until we can come to a conclusion that this is just hearsay or, scuttlebutt, doesn't mean anything, or is it actually true? So I think he would have had a reason to do what he initially wanted to do. But, he let old Mr. Tate talk him out of it.
Oh, Tate doing a lot of talking. I feel like he talking his way into Carrie's bed.
I know.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing.
And to go further with that, not only is he doing that, it's a segue to Tate's own show.
Yeah.
So recently I was on Mont Tyson's show, and one of the theories that he had, and it's interesting, Mont had this theory and my son had the same theory. He was saying that Carrie wasn't going to get killed and that Carrie's character was actually going to end up on influence when Tate goes in there. And when I see the way Tate said to her, like, this isn't over and all this other stuff to her, I was like, Now, you know, he always was looking for a first lady type in his own career. Like he was trying to get the other chick he was messing with, Derek's wife. He had pitched that idea to Ramona, but Ramona was interested in ghosts. But what if he's saying to Carrie, like, this is your second chance. Like you can be my first lady, and together we could be. So I think that's something that may be a segue for them.
And even more so, especially since he knows a little bit about Carrie. He knows that she's not squeaky clean. So he don't need somebody that's squeaky clean. In fact, he needs somebody that's willing to roll in the dirt a little bit. Because the way he rolled up on Braden's father this week and straight up told him, like, get your boy to resign or these blackface pictures is coming out. I was like, you know, he is shady.
And you see Braden?
Yeah, Braden was like, damn.
That's going to be a problem because it's going to be an issue with Tariq.
It is, but my question about Tate, okay, you're looking for somebody who you know is willing to get dirty, but you can't trust her. That's, I mean, you want a partner in crime, but you got to be able to trust her. And because she's a person who is so self-serving, she set up a student.
Right.
So, I mean, I get it. I see how they're going to make the segue, but I'm just like, I probably would pass on Carrie.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that's probably what's going to make the segment even more interesting because she is so self-serving that we're going to see a lot of her own hand in that segment. And it kind of brings me back to what you said too a little earlier, Tiffany, when you mentioned Angela and what Ghost should have, you know, taken her out. But the reason I think that he would not have had to do so, because here she is, you know, high up in the judicial legal area, and yet she's dealing with a known criminal. So that's dirt enough for her. You know what I'm saying? It all goes back to what you just said, Luanda, you know, having a partner in crime, in quotes, in crime, because now she is much a criminal as he is because she knows who Ghost is. Whereas Lauren, God rest her soul, because I'm telling you, I am so glad that Tariq is done with her, and at least I hope he is. And I thought that was a wonderful scene with, you know, Lauren going to his room, and you know, here comes Diana. He lets her in, and he literally just slams the door in Lauren's face.
Yes,
I got that.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting scene too. It kind of reminded me almost of Love and Basketball when he had the new chick up in his bedroom, and you know, Sanaa Lathan's character rolled in and got shut out. But I was going to say the classroom scene I thought was an interesting conversation because it seemed like the entire episode revolved around the conversation of choices being made for you without your consent. And so that was the whole situation. I mean, of course, Lauren was brought in on that with Carrie making decisions on her behalf. And then Tariq, of course, had that struggle with making his decisions and how they would affect, you know, Yaz and Big Mama. And so even we're going to get to the rest of them, but the whole episode kind of revolved around that theme of decisions being made on your behalf.
True, because it was made for Lauren too. Those weren't her drugs.
Right. Yeah. And so I thought that when she went to go and try to apologize, because Tariq had tried to talk to her at first about it, but she shut him down. And so the fact that she came back to apologize, he was like, it's done. Like, I don't got time for this.
When she came to apologize, I think she also was probably going to tell him about
the wire,
the situation. Yeah, I think she was trying to give him a heads up and stuff too.
I don't know.
I think he tipped his hand though when he told him my lawyer said I shouldn't speak to you.
Yeah. Yeah, would that be a wise thing for her to do though? I mean, because that is, I mean, you talk about implication. That is.
But if she told him that's something he could take back to his attorney and stuff, I mean, you know, so I at least giving him a heads up, like, listen, I didn't know that this is the I was told this, you know, I think she wanted to explain herself too.
Yeah, but just like Davis said, you know, we need to go find out how much is she over on the prosecution side? Because I just don't see Lauren lying for anybody under oath. So the mere fact that she has that information, you know, is so detrimental that Tariq may have to take her out.
Did you see the previews for next week? I mean, I don't know if she's going anywhere, but it certainly looks like she's in the crosshairs.
But it helps. She helps him, really. That whole situation helps because Carrie is implicated, right? Because of her relationship with Zeke and with Jabari, and the fact that she was her counsel, right? Yes. Manipulative. It always seems as if she had her hand in making sure that the eyes were not pointed in her direction. So I think that's that whole situation is very helpful to Tariq. Even if he didn't trust her, I don't think, I mean, who's to say, you know, this is a show where anybody can get it, right? But I think it serves them well to have her alive and to look like a victim that's been manipulated by Carrie.
Mm-hmm. Well, put your defense attorney hat on for a moment, Rwanda, and think about the cross-examination that a lawyer could do with Lauren. Mm-hmm. A good lawyer can tear her apart. And David said
he was going to do that. Yeah, he was like, he said, you just put her in the crosshairs because he's going to eat Lauren up.
He would eat her up. I mean, and you know, even though the drugs weren't hers, the mere fact that it was, you know, possession. How do you determine possession in terms of it's your room? It's you know, it's a very thin line, and trying to make that argument whether the drugs are yours or not.
But it's also a shared space, so the same argument could go for how they got Tariq off with the badge situation.
But Tariq he's still gonna that badge is still gonna weigh heavy on him. Which is exactly why you need a very high-powered lawyer, because a high-powered lawyer can bring in, you know, certain aspects that hopefully will, you know, draw some doubt on your
Yeah, I think it's one strategy to tear her apart. Another strategy is to make her look like a victim who was manipulated by Carrie. Because if you think about it, Carrie was put in a position of, if you don't want your business to come out about you sleeping with this student and Jabari and them possibly finding out, then you need to help us. And so her way of helping keep the eyes off of her was to manipulate a student to help them find who's doing drugs on the campus. So I think it's two ways to play it. I think if you can get the jury to sympathize and to see that she was manipulated, then it all looks like a setup. It goes to the fact that somebody's framing Tariq.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
She signed the papers, and that's a real sticky situation, because you would assume that if someone gives you something that you read it and you sign it, you are in agreement with what.
But it was also entrapment almost, because it's like you're forcing her into this situation, telling her that she wouldn't be able to get off, and how your parents will find out. She shamed her into doing it.
And she had a reason for doing it. It wasn't like she was an unbiased counsel trying to get her to do what was in her best interest. It was clearly in Carrie's best interest, right?
Yeah. Right. And also, to go further, you know, Lauren was totally manipulated by Carrie. You got to think, this was somebody she trusted. Remember last season, Carrie and Jabari were over Lauren's house with her parents having dinner.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this is somebody she looked up to.
Yeah.
And she didn't anticipate that this woman was playing her like that.
Right.
I agree. I just say that Davis has a lot to play with.
Yeah. Oh, he does. Tariq getting off.
Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. And, you know, the fact that Sax and Tamika went in to try to get him a deal, like 5 years, especially for something that he truly didn't do this time. So
snitches get stitches. Snitches get stitches.
Yeah. And I was like, Sax didn't understand that.
Well, you know,
that white privilege. Sax comes from a well-to-do white family. Of course, he doesn't understand that. He's looking at everything like
he does understand it. He does understand it. What he wants, really, in his heart of hearts, he wants to send Tariq to jail.
Yes. He has a bias. He said it's about time somebody.
No, he does.
Exactly.
He does understand that. But what he doesn't understand that if Tariq goes to jail, not only can Tariq be touched in jail, his family can be touched on the outside. Yes. What happens to Yaz? What happens to his grandmother? His mother is in witness protection. And that's the calculation that Rick made when he was like, nah, I'm not snitching and putting my family in that position.
But this
because when you think about the original Power, how did they get to Mike Sandoval? Mike Sandoval he wasn't holding it, and Ghost and them got to him. They got him killed and stuff. Dre got killed in the bang. So no, it is not in Tariq's best interest.
But I'll tell you why I think Sachs would know, because any attorney who's responsible for putting people behind bars realized that if he goes to jail himself, it's not going to be a good thing for him either, because there are people there that he perhaps even put behind bars. So he understands the dynamic of putting Tariq in jail. He just doesn't give a damn.
Listen, Sachs should have been in jail for trying to go after Ghost. Sachs' butt should have been in jail for trying to go after Ghost and shoot him.
What were you saying, Lawanda?
I was going to say, even the implication that he shot an officer, even though he would tell who actually did it because he was involved. You got to worry about the POs, the officers inside.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not going.
No, he's right.
No. And I think it was a great call, especially after seeing how Yaz was being questioned. I mean, that girl was so confused. She was trying to save her brother, but also tell the true story or try to blend the two. And she ended up getting tripped up. She's a 9-year-old kid. I mean, that kind of pressure on a child is so unfair. And I like that Tariq stood up for her because it wasn't fair. And I hated that Davis even suggested that idea.
But here we go again with Davis being so highfalutin heavy on the money, but what he's putting out is kind of, bargain.
Yeah,
I mean, and reputation. He's, his whole idea is no, I win cases, so he's willing to risk Tariq's freedom for his reputation.
Because he should have known.
Very self-serving.
Known that Yaz had gone to the store. That very question that Jenny asked. He don't
have the video. Tariq does. So Tariq is the one that knows that Yaz went to the store with mom and everything. That's how with grandma, because he was trying to use it for his custody case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about it is they just did not prepare that little girl at all. I mean, I think he might have thought that since she's a young kid, they might not go as hard on her. But if he's willing to be cutthroat with somebody like Lauren, who is not versed in how to stand up in these witness testimonies, what do you think they're going to do to a child, especially for a case where an officer has been killed? Like, they're going to go in on her. They're not going to show mercy just because she's 9.
Exactly.
So it was just a crazy suggestion from the start.
Tasha would have had a fit if she knew her baby was in there being questioned.
I know, right?
Yeah. And so I think that the one thing I was glad that Sachs did was reveal the information about Lauren. So now at least they can play that angle to try to get Tariq off. But that should have been done from the jump. So I'm really side-eyeing them as lawyers.
Well,
all this money, and we sitting here questioning his tactics. Like, okay.
Yeah, and I was glad Paula read him for filth.
Oh, me too. I was like, and you saw him taking his ring off. I was like, he's so foul. He's so foul.
Yes. Unethical.
I wanted to say something, but I'm not going to say it.
Like, no, I'm good. We don't. I'm good. It's over.
Damn. Leave that one alone. Okay.
Yeah.
It was funny how he was cleaning his shoes. I mean, this man, he must have like 6 pairs or whatever it was he was wearing. I mean, but he was all about those shoes.
He worried about the image. That's all. You see, he had a Bentley truck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he almost got too in that Bentley truck.
Yeah.
I would think that he would have a better, parking spot or something like that, considering this. I mean, he's a high profile person, and then having a luxury vehicle like that, and you just got it parked haphazardly in the back of the garage somewhere.
And as dirty as he is, he has street sense. Look, I feel like it happened once, it won't happen again.
If you pay that much money for a car, Kane should have never been able to get in. That car should have said, "Hold up." I will run you over if you make another move. I mean, that car should have, no, I'm sorry. No, pay that kind of money. You can't get in my car.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bentley, but this is not good advertising for y'all.
No.
But the conversation they had in the truck was interesting too, because Kane, for whatever reason, I guess he thought that he was incognito, but he was not. And then, Davis had to explain to him, like, by protecting Tariq, I'm really protecting you too. As long as the money keeps coming, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. But then at the end, he kind of like called him out. He's like, "Oh, tell Monet I said hi to Kane." And so I'm wondering about that.
This is why I said every week Kane proves to me why he doesn't deserve to be the number 2.
Right.
It's more apparent every week. Because that was man, you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
At all.
Yeah. In fact, he's a butter knife. I mean,
and that's why I think that him going to do that with Davis could actually make the situation worse. Like Monet says, he always makes it worse.
Yes. I was like, you're going to go pull up. Oh my gosh. I was like, this is a mistake.
Especially considering you don't have the money to pay Davis. So trying to threaten him by shooting him, rolling up in the backseat of his car, how do you think that's going to fare when you try to ask him for an extension on the time to get the money, or try to work out a deal to lessen the amount that you owe him? Like, he's not going to be receptive to any negotiations now that you didn't try to kill him.
And then he had a nerve to tell Tariq, when Tariq was like, I got trial tomorrow. He was like, that's a you problem. And I'm like, it's a you problem, but you're the one that planted that. You put him in that predicament, but it's a you problem.
How about this? He's right. It is a you problem, but add an S to it. It's a us problem.
Yeah. I mean, Davis drew the line for him. Tariq's your freedom is tied to Tariq's getting off. So It really is a us problem, both of y'all. And the fact that they can't get course correct back on track now because they don't have a plug. That introduction that Kane made with Lorenzo and Mecca sealed the deal. I mean, he completely diverted all the product to Lorenzo, which was okay. It's a shock because who gives all their product to one person? But it was calculated because we know Mecca has motives.
Mm-hmm.
It was also, this is just an off-record kind of thing, but to see Mecca and Lorenzo together, and I'm thinking, okay, I knew they had looked similar, but to bring them together on screen, I'm almost, for just 1 second, I kind of lost it. I'm like, okay, Mecca, Lorenzo.
Yeah, they do look alike. They have very similar in appearance.
They favor.
Almost the same.
Mecca looks like he's much bigger though.
Mm-hmm.
Mecca's a big dude.
I think he's a little taller, and
he's bigger.
Yeah,
he's definitely bigger than Lorenzo.
Yeah, Lorenzo. Yeah, but they still have somewhat of the same body style. You know what I mean? They're both built brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, this situation is about to heat up because Mecca kind of told Lorenzo, you can use my soldiers if you need them, but at an extra charge. And it looks like Mecca's crew, there was the young lady that I mentioned last week that had the big hair, and I wasn't sure whose team she was on, but that's the chick that was in the car when the music was playing outside of Monet's house.
Audition, yeah.
Yes. So that was the chick, and she's clearly one of Mecca's soldiers, but she was teamed up with Kane and some of Lorenzo's people, and they actually made a hit on some group of people. And I was wondering who those people were, because I don't know if they were competition to Lorenzo that were involved in his Queen's takeover, or whether that could have been the Mahoney people that Mecca had mentioned. Now, I was thinking it was probably somebody involved with Lorenzo more so, since after it was done, she texted him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought maybe it might be some loyalists with Kino, because Kino's dead now. And, you want to kind of clean up shop. And because Carlito would have been the only one to know where these folks would be. And so, since Carlito is now number one, you want to get rid of the few Kino loyalists, and here they are. So, ambush them, and you got now a clean house. Carlito can move in, get better, more crew, and, you're starting from day one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That is. And you notice that Mecca texted Monet right after it was done too. It was like, we need to talk. So I was like, uh-oh, this is about to be messy, because this whole thing with Mecca going to talk to Zeke, as we figured, he rolled up on him and told him the truth. And he knew all the details, from like, your shoe is a half size bigger. He even showed him the tattoo. And so that left Zeke like, okay, this might have some legitimacy to it. So he's about ready to pack up and go talk to whoever he thinks his real mother is. Which we kind of figured he would, because Zeke is easy to sway. He's emotional, and it seems like he can even be impulsive a little bit, to the point where he would just get up and run off to go talk to his mother wherever she is. But Monet had to put the brakes on him, and I think what she told him might make the situation 1,000 times worse when he really does find out the truth.
Oh, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out next week.
Because it's been lies on top of lies on top of lies. On
top of lies.
She deserved the hands this week.
Yeah.
She deserved the hands for lying to him like that. And also, listen to Mecca, and he was like, all the time that I've been denied. And then you're gonna say, like, I'm like, she wrong for keeping that man.
Because we got some insight in that on what Monet thinks he just ran off and left. So maybe that's why she was kind of bitter about the situation. Maybe that's why she didn't feel like he deserved to meet his son, because he just up and ran off. But he was like, I was arrested, and it was either jail or the military. I didn't know I had anything to live for. And I would think that that's a valid response for somebody who's been arrested and doesn't know that he has a child on the way, to just go off and serve in the military. Right. So it just gave us some color to the situation. And maybe Mecca wasn't so much of a dirtbag father after all,
Well,
he didn't know.
LaWanda said something about Monet just before we went on, how big a liar she is. Yeah. I mean, because, when you can come up with a lie like that at a moment's notice and not care even, not even care about it. I mean, look, Monet, if there's another word for liar that I don't know, when we find out, that's you. Because
Diana on the case though. Diana's gonna find out. Yeah. She's putting everything together, and I saw the previews for next week. I think she calling her out.
Yeah.
And Monet looked like she was trying to attack Diana again. I was like, oh Lord.
Diana better be cool, because Monet was real cozy with her. I mean, for a minute there, I was like, dang, she's dissing Diana like it's not even her child.
She always just Diana though. She talks to Diana crazy.
She's like, get out my way, little girl. Yeah. I was like, dang.
My comment was more about the lie. Like, this is coming out. Mm-hmm. And the only way you look good is if you kind of take control of the narrative. So when you had the opportunity to kind of sway him and give him your side of the story and shape it, you lied. I was like, oh, there's no coming back from that. It's just this situation is gonna blow up. And
it is
gonna be real ugly.
I think she thought that she was pacifying the moment, because her whole focus was getting him to that meeting with the
agent.
With the agent. So I think she was like, okay, I stopped the bleeding right now. I put a Band-Aid on it and stuff by lying, which she, we know she made it worse.
Yeah. And the fact that Dante, he kind of knows everybody's situation. He's now in business with Lorenzo, so he knows the drop on everybody. He knows Kane. He knows Lorenzo.
He's looking at the whole chessboard.
Yes, he got everybody right where he wants them. And so the fact that Monet kind of at least knows the Zeke portion of it, and how Zeke finding out the truth could blow up her family life at home, I would think, like you said, LaWanda, that she would try to get ahead of it and try to get Zeke under control with like a little dose of the truth, like small doses of truth here and there. But oh my God, when Mecca drops that bomb, he is going to obliterate her life.
I don't know how a grown man like Zeke would feel to find out that this woman who had betrayed you as a nephew, you come to find out is your mom. And, you never had the opportunity to live with your mother, your real mom.
Yeah.
And, she's played you, all the way like a fiddle.
And not only is your father not dead, not only is he not in jail for life, he actually wanted to be a part of your life.
Exactly. And then he found
that's
that
insane.
Out. Yeah, that right there. Zeke's not the type, but that right there he could probably pick up a gun and shoot Monet over all that. So not that it would happen, but it's just.
You might cut her off though.
I was just about to say, or cut her off.
Cut her off.
Her dreams of being an NBA aunt is not going to work out.
No. If he even still makes it to the NBA, I mean, I just feel like something is going to happen to prevent that.
Yeah.
How could she explain not raising him? How could
we know Lorenzo is crazy, so he'd have to buy that. She couldn't tell Lorenzo, and I buy it,
Yeah, her lies go deep and far, far back. So I guess she feels like she has to keep up the lie now that it's so far gone.
Yeah.
Because this is at least Zeke is at least in his 20s. So this is at least 20 years worth of lies.
Well, she said she was 16 when she had him?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
So does that make him older than Kane?
Yeah, he's the oldest.
Yeah,
Courtney said he is older than Kane.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, at least it didn't happen while she was with Lorenzo. I think that might be her only argument there. But when like I said, when that bomb drops, it's gonna be a real wipeout for her. The thing I wanted to mention was Lorenzo talked to Monet about her cutting off course correct with Tariq or whatever, and he had arranged this really nice romantic evening, had the bags and shopping, bought her some new things, and he kind of was hinting to the fact that she had held him down while she was in jail and he was in jail. And I thought that was a kudos to Lorenzo for, trying to put some effort in, because I know that we had talked about him not being the best husband necessarily, and how Mecca could easily swipe in and sweep her off her feet. So it was good to see him put some effort in this week.
Yeah, but Lorenzo better open up his eyes about Monet. I mean, it's one thing to try to, smooth her over with the niceties and so forth, but those eyes are telling. And they are the windows of your soul. And when you look into Monet's eyes, she doesn't want you anymore. And you sooner, or you had, it would be to on your behalf to sooner realize that than to, try and make Monet something that she doesn't want to be anymore. See, Monet doesn't want that life anymore. That, she doesn't want to be a subservient to you. That's not what she's about. And if you can't give her what she wants, she just as soon take you out. So Lorenzo, you got a mark on your back, so you better be cool.
Well, I don't want the game no more. From what she told him, she was like, we need a safer life.
Thank you. And I was thinking about what Diana told Tariq, and she was like, I thought bringing my father back home would bring the family closer together, but it just seems like it's more secrets and more lies, and Monet and Lorenzo are not on the same page. And so that just proves to me, like, they truly do have different plans. Monet wants to get out of the life, period. She was complaining to him about even having Drew involved in, whatever had just gone down, because she didn't know, but she knew it was something. And so I think she's starting to realize the repercussions of being in the life, because at least when Lorenzo was in jail, she had control over how much danger her kids were exposed to, I think. But now that Lorenzo's back, she doesn't know what's going on, and she feels like Lorenzo is calling all the shots, putting everybody in place, and maybe Drew is not the one that needs to be exposed to as much danger as he's putting him in.
It's just the irony of it all, for this woman to not have claimed your son, but then you want to live on his bank, making money in the league, and you've already come up with this plan how to spend his money. And you didn't even claim him as a child, as your own. It
sounds like the conversation she had with him about his father being, when she said that Dante was just somebody trying to ride his coattails. I'm like, well, what does that make?
What you doing, right?
Well, exactly. That's how she was so easily able to come up with that, because that's exactly what she's doing. So it's going to be really interesting when Zeke actually finds out who she is. I can't wait for that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that conversation that she had with Lorenzo in the kitchen, and when she started talking about trying to go legit and everything. I think that conversation was triggered by the conversation she had with Uncle Frank's widow.
Thank you. I was about to say that.
When Uncle Frank's widow came, played by Lauren Velez, remember her from New York Undercover.
Yes, legendary.
Yes. But when she said, tell Lorenzo to watch himself out there, I think she recognized, like, just like Uncle Frank ain't never come home to his family, it could be the same way for Lorenzo. Exactly. Or any of them.
Or any of them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I think that's her reckoning. I think she's realizing that, like I said, since she doesn't have control over the organization, she can't control who's exposed to what. And everything is out of her hands now. So it's kind of like things will fall where they will. She just is trying to control what she can. And I think that's her kids. I think that those are the only people that she feels like she still has control over, especially since it seems like those kids are still so thirsty for their parents' approval.
Yeah. I can empathize with the stress she must be under and the pressure she must be under.
Right.
And she's making some of these decisions and feeling like some are being made for her. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting here thinking of how she can find her way out, because I don't know if is leaving with Dante an option now. It's gonna be real messy, because he's crafted this web to where he has Lorenzo in the palm of his hand. So it's almost like if he wants, you know what I mean? So it's interesting, the game that he's playing, and everybody's involved and doesn't even know it. So
the only thing that could happen is somebody got to die.
Well, I think had she played
that part
original hand with Mecca, and that is allowing Mecca to get to know Zeke and giving it and playing that hand, she would have been a lot better off, because she had cover. She had cover with Mecca, but now she been pushed up on Dante, called him everything but a child of God, and she has no cover now. So even if she were to come out and tell the truth, well, now she has to tell the truth with everybody, and they all will be up in arms with her, because she has no cover. So I don't think there's anything she can do to salvage herself. I think she's a goner.
Diana is going to be the key to this. She was already questioning Tariq, like, I seen this text from some guy named D. Do you know anybody named D that Monet works with? And so she, in the previews for next week, she's calling Monet out, telling her that she's been lying to them their whole life, and whoever you're lying to us for, it better be worth it. I'm like, okay, Diana is going to be the one to put 2 and 2 together.
She is.
And at that point, I wonder how Monet acts. Because we always see her react with rage and like trying to attack Diana. But at that point, it only makes it worse when she knows the truth if you try to attack her. So then can you in some way try to reverse things and get her back on your team? Like how can you salvage the relationship in order to get her to hold your secrets if she does figure it out?
That's damaged goods. It's that one's over. And the fact now that she's seeing Tariq, and she swore herself to Tariq, she's damaged goods. Monet can forget her.
Well, I think that Diana would feed that information to Lorenzo. Yeah. And somehow they're going to figure out that Mecca and Dante is the same person. And that he's been playing both sides of the fence. And I think that might be incentive for Lorenzo to try to take him out. Or for Dante, because he moves, in silence, and he keeps a low profile. And so he might be insulated enough to where he could make the first move.
The problem with Lorenzo right now is, even if he wanted to take out Dante, he can't, because he's his provider, for one thing. Number two, you don't know Dante's organization. So taking out Dante could really put some heat on you and the rest of the family. So
not unless there's a snake in Dante's crew somewhere.
That's
Kane.
My point.
Kane. What if Kane? Because what if Kane realizes?
But Kane doesn't even know Dante's organization.
I'm saying, but what if that comes out? What if it comes out, Kane finds out that Mecca has been playing him this whole time and playing him against his family and everything? He might feel a way about that, and he may try to take Mecca out.
After what I've seen with Dante's crew, that would be a hell of a mistake. I mean, because I'm sure Dante's crew is deeper than that.
And you can tell they're all military. They got the really military grade weaponry. And
exactly.
They, tactics are down.
Yeah, that to me. What were you saying?
No, go ahead, because I was gonna say all I'm saying is I think Mecca has that in the back of his head.
I do too. I think Mecca is way ahead of them on the chessboard.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah. So it's not, and which is, again, is another reason that he said, hey, I'll give you part of my crew, because that way, by his crew working with Lorenzo,
he got eyes and ears on.
He got everything. Yeah, he's got tabs.
He's got everything. So yeah, the last thing he'd want to do is try to take out Dante.
Yeah, this season is really shaping up to be like really explosive towards the end of these last 3 episodes. We see next week also that Davis is demanding payment from Tariq. We know Tariq doesn't have the money to pay him, and Davis is like, well, that public defender over there gonna haul you off to that 25 to life. So I was like, that is so foul. Like, we know Davis is foul, but geez, like, this boy's up against some serious time, and you're gonna hang the money over his head like that.
And he hadn't done anything so far for me to be a $500,000 lawyer. I'm sorry, I just haven't seen it. Other than him running his mouth, he can do that real well. But so far, I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about this love triangle that Tariq has created for himself, because he slept with Effie last week. This week he's with Diana. 2 weeks ago he was sleeping with Lauren, but she messed that up for herself. So it really is down to Diana and Effie, and they had both talked to each other about not being with Tariq because of X, Y, and Z, but yet they both ended up sleeping with this boy.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
Yes, and this was Diana's first time, and Monet would have a fit if she ever found that out. And I just thought of all types of things. Like, what if Diana gets pregnant? I mean, I was just like,
my thing is,
like, what if Effie finds out?
That's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah,
there's gonna be drama between them two.
I'm more afraid of Effie than I am of Monet at this moment.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That there is not one you want to play with. And so, yeah, I guess Tariq's getting it in.
Yeah, and I think that could backfire on him though, because he has Effie, handling his business, being his front woman, I guess. And so she could feel betrayal, like, I went out of my way and did all of this for you, and you turn around and sleep with this chick. And then the same thing could apply to Diana. Like, I gave it up to you. This is my first time, and you told me, like, are you sure? You made these concessions that I, had to be sure about it before I got with you. She should have been asking it, are you sure?
Right. And
listen, should have been reversed.
Listen, like father, like son.
Wait,
he was really ghost-like.
I'm going to give it.
Well, I mean, let's not act like Ghost. He
wasn't that loose. Ghost wasn't that loose. Tariq got him on that. I'm sorry.
I mean, his love square has turned into a triangle, but I think that's only short-lived. It's only a matter of time before he roped Lauren back in.
Yeah, because Tariq's not really thinking here. You can't do everybody. And particularly
he's 19, he's young, he's thinking,
I know what he's thinking with. Yeah, and and that brain's working overtime. But I'm gonna tell you, he got to slow it down.
How when the chicks know each other, man?
And
right.
They all know each other. So there's no separation. Let one be in one county and the other one another. But
Effie is technically at Yale. So
okay.
But she's handling his business. She could sabotage his business purposely.
Yeah.
She's too far into your organization for you to be messing up with Effie.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana, if it were me, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, Effie is my girl, because I know what I got with Effie. Even though Diana comes from,
I don't think you do though. I don't think Effie can be trusted either.
But let me put it this way: for what I see, it's Effie. And if I were Tariq, she would be my girl. Diana, she's still too green, even though she comes from that family, that way of life. But she's too green. And I can't trust Diana, because now one of the, my arch enemy right now is Monet. And I'm messing with Monet's daughter. who could slip at any point in time? Nah. And like you said, get pregnant, and then if she got pregnant with Tariq, if she got pregnant, that's Tariq's baby, and Monet finds out,
oh, he's good as gone.
Come on, I don't even know how to write that.
Maybe he's thinking that, you know, putting it on her, he can keep her in line. You know, he can use that to his advantage.
Get some information.
Look, it already appears to me that Diana has a little spice in her. If she gets angry, she's going to open up. She's going to find a way to hurt you. So I can see her,
too.
But I can see her. I can see her thinking that would hurt her mother if she found out that she was pregnant and then told Monet, because she would be thinking that's going to tear Monet up, and she would do that just to do so, just to put that blemish on Monet.
Well, now he don't only have to worry about Monet, he got to worry about Lorenzo too. I don't think that he's going to take too kindly to his little princess getting knocked up by Tariq, given what he knows of Tariq.
Which is why he needed to leave that piece alone.
Yeah, he did. Because he don't even know what kind of threat he got coming at him with Lorenzo.
All ends.
Yeah. And then my other problem with Tariq this week was, you're supposed to be confined to the campus, and you are facing double homicide. How are you still rolling around here off, trying to violate your probation term? I mean, your bail conditions. He was at the church meeting up with Tamika. He was under the bridge meeting up with Kane. I'm like, you really are pushing it.
Yeah, he said he had until midnight to get back. But the irony of him meeting at the church, though, which I was like,
he sure is manipulative. That's the manipulation coming out. He's trying to help show that he's not like his father.
And just like his dad.
She had, preconceived thoughts of how he was, and she was trying to give him a second chance. But when he was like, I didn't kill this cop, but she was like, not this cop. But you killed a cop before, so she, he still has his past lingering over him that kind of stains his people's perception of him.
Yeah, but to me,
and then when she asked him about Jabari, though, I was like, well, he he did, but I was like, she's no longer his attorney, so I don't know if I would have, if he should have said anything, because I was like, is that protected? That attorney-client privilege? I mean, she's not his attorney.
Right.
So Tamika told me, though, it seems like with lawyers, all they want to do is win, and they really don't think much about what that win will do to you, because she was just so hell bent on, I can get you out by serving 5 years, which would be like 100 years, because of you being a snitch. You're in that jail where Lorenzo knows folk and they know him. It's just, and like he said, there's Yaz and grandma, and they would constantly be looking over their shoulders, because it's just no way that they will have any, there's no closure for that. It's just,
I mean, I guess in their eyes, they're thinking double homicide, especially with the homicide of a cop. 5 years is skating. Like, you are getting off.
And he's only,
but they're not thinking of the other side of it, of all the threats.
But just like David said, they don't care about the murder of Jabari. They care about the cop, and we already know that he's been set up. They know he's been set up. They even have that film that, and I think Davis was just kind of baiting him.
Oh, Davis knows it was Kane.
Davis knows that, and he was just baiting him, trying to see what he can get out of it. And so you already know these things. So rather than circling the wagons, just go straight in, deal with what you know, and work up a defense with that. Because right now, to me, they're just playing it too loosely.
But Davis wants the money from Tariq and from Monet and Kane. And so he's not willing to give up either party as long as they can keep paying him. So that's the only reason he hasn't ratted Kane out at this point.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's diabolical.
Diabolical. I mean, and so far, nothing to show for
it. Yeah. And so I was thinking the other thing that is kind of like in my purview is since Braden kind of requested that Tariq keep his family out of this situation with the blackface and Sweeney. And that doesn't look like that's the case anymore. I mean, you know, Rashad said, I don't care whose life gets blown up. This is coming out. That's going to damage things with Tariq and Braden, because I think when it comes down to it, Braden will try to salvage his family's name versus allowing Tariq to give Tate that information to bring down.
He said it. He told Tariq that. And when he overheard Lorenz Tate saying that to his father, saying a picture was coming out, he knows that. How else would Tate know about the picture?
And that picture, that picture won't exist anymore.
Yeah, so they back on the rocks.
Yeah, because he'll definitely destroy that picture, because he now already knows what Tate had planned, and you know he obviously knows that Tate would only know because Tariq gave him that information. So that picture is going to be destroyed. So you know, Tariq should have played his hand a little better than that when he saw that.
Or Tate.
It's Tate's fault. Because he should have waited till he had it in his possession.
Yes.
That is true. That is true. That is so true.
Yeah, so he was a little premature with that move. And it looks like next week, you know, Kane is whispering to Tariq, like telling him, I have a solution to our money problems. And it looks like they're running into the hangar where Mecca had all of his planes and things. And I'm like, we talked about not attacking Mecca because we already discussed all the reasons why they should not be trying to touch this man. And it looks like that's in the people in bodies that have clearly been dropped. And I don't know if it's going to go the way they think it's going to go. And here again, Kane making things worse. And now dragging Tariq into it, because at this point, I mean, Mecca and Tariq have not come face to face at all. And I don't think that Kane would tell Tariq this place that we're going to raid is belongs to Mecca, you know. He would probably just send him in blind, and then Tariq find out after the fact that, oh, this is his. Why would you set me up like that?
Well, here's a question. Effie was also in the game even before she paired up with Tariq. And the question is, where was she getting her product from?
Right. Did she work for Mahoney? Yeah. I'm wondering if the Mahoney guy is her connect.
Yeah, and you know, I would think that if I were Tariq, she'd be the first person I go to, because she did say, if you need help, hit me up.
Yeah, I still don't know if he fully trusts. Like, I know he likes Effie, and he appreciates her stepping up for him right now, but I don't think he fully trusts her.
I don't think so.
Especially not what she did previously.
No, he shouldn't.
I don't think I would trust her plug either.
Look, you're between a rock and a hard place right now. Yeah. You got to trust somebody. And the only person that I can see that might halfway do you some good is my girl, Effie.
Oh, Lord. I don't know. I don't know that she's all that trustworthy. But
I was right. Now, wait a minute. There's a difference between, you know, being effective and being trustworthy. You know, she can be effective, but not necessarily trustworthy. You know, so there's some workaround here. You know, look, he keep putting it on her, you know. Work it. I don't
know. He might get played in the process. But I was gonna say, I know in the past when we were talking about Mecca, I was saying I thought that he could be Ghost's brother and stuff. But watching Courtney's Q&As and everything, she said that Ghost does have a brother. He hasn't been introduced on film yet, so maybe he isn't. But she did say something along the lines that Mecca may have crossed paths with Ghost before. So I think in these last 3 episodes, we may find out more about that.
Because clearly Mecca, he's crossed paths with Lorenzo before, but clearly Lorenzo doesn't recall that. And then he was also previously aware of Lil Guap's father, who was also involved in the streets. And the fact that he's, you know, aware of Ghost, that kind of tells me, because Ghost was really off the radar for a lot of people. So the fact that he's crossed paths with him, it kind of leads me to believe that Mecca is higher up than he portrays.
It could also mean that Ghost taught Mecca a few things on how to be ghost-like.
I don't know. I mean, and then, you know, Mecca, he also has an import-export business and stuff. So how do we know that he didn't meet ghosts on the business side of it too? I mean, it could be a number of ways that he's
absolutely.
You know, when he became ghost, but was he always that when he first started, when they were just street kids, you know, they were younger and they were in the streets? And it depends on when he met him, when the paths cross, you know.
That's a good point. I also seen Courtney mentioned that some faces from the past will be reappearing. And so I know my number one that I think is going to come back is 2-Bit, of course. In some capacity, 2-Bit is probably going to come back. And then I think people were even wondering about Vincent, you know, whether he would reappear somehow in Tommy's story. Somebody asked about that. So
Vincent died.
Well, I mean, like Vincent's, I guess his crew or somebody, because they were saying that since Tommy was heading west, if he would end up in like Chicago or something like that, and if, you know, people would still be after him from that family.
Oh yeah, I think so. The Serbs, because Jason got killed, Milan's crew, they were in Chicago. So I think that's definitely going to resurface in force.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that is coming our way for these last 3 episodes. It's definitely heating up and you could feel the tension starting to build. And so I'm just really excited to see what goes down. Do you guys have any last predictions or closing remarks you want to throw out there?
It's getting good.
Yeah, it's been good. We're good.
Okay. Well, everyone, we want to thank you so much for watching. Please drop down in the comments and let us know your thoughts about this episode and your predictions for the rest of the season. Also, make sure you are subscribed to our channel, click the like button and the notification bell so that you get alerted whenever we post. And also, you know, stay tuned because we do still have plans for our roundtable. And we were trying to set it up to, you know, get everything down packed and organized so that everything will flow in a very clean format. But we are very excited to bring some of you on, and we have not forgotten about you. So still make sure that, you know, you stick with us to get the announcements for when we plan our roundtable. And again, we want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting. You guys have been so responsive and interactive with us on social media. So continue to follow us there on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We love reading your comments and conversing with you on those platforms as well. So if we have nothing else to add, I think we'll call it a night. So see you next week.
Bye. Riding to the top, started from the floor. How we got up here, you don't need to know. Sniffing on an M, I need one of those. Sniffing on an M like I got a cold. Need to know, nah, you don't need to know. Need to know, nah, you don't need to know. How we got up here, you don't need to know. Hit me, but I keep you on a need to know. Came up from the bottom, started from the floor. Working 10 to 10 and a 10 to 4. Bags under my eyes, on my mommy floor. Always know